Welcome back, viewers and subscribers. It's your girl, Star Flames, and we are back, baby, with another video. Now, guys, in this video, we're gonna talk about Tony Buzbee, reacting to Jayz filing a lawsuit against him, the VMA bandit, and the initial attorney who was on this case. Now, in case you guys have missed it, Jayz has filed a new lawsuit in the Southern District of Alabama because, naturally that's the state that the VMA bandit is in. So that's one thing that we have figured out about this young lady. Now, what had happened was this young lady accused Diddy and Jayz of awarding her, but in the lawsuit, there were far too many disconnects because initially when Busby filed the lawsuit, he had a time frame of, I think it was 9:40, if not 9:48 p.m., wherein she said that she was picked up outside Radio City and she was taken to a after party house. However, I believe that when they look at the VMA's, award ceremony, at that time that she had initially included for the after party, the award ceremony was well on its way, still in swing, and as such, it wasn't adding up, and as such, Busby removed the time frame. And for many people, that was the first initial red flag. Also, she spoke about being picked up by a limo, which Gene Deal said it's a lie because at that point, Diddy was not using any limos whatsoever. It was just in the launch of his career because remember at that point, everyone wanted to give the impression that they were living their best life. And normally when these rappers are launching their career, whatever car is in, swing at the time, they would rent those vehicles and they would just shoot those videos just to give the impression that they're living it up. So Sean Diddy Combs used to rent those limos with Biggie Small when he was launching his career. However, as time passed, you guys know that limos fade, and as such, Gene Deal is saying they weren't using any limos at that point in time. Now, also, if you guys remember the witnesses that she said she spoke to while she was at Radio City, the group was on tour. Her father said it's a lie. So there was numerous disconnect in the lawsuits. Tony Buzbee also filed the lawsuit in the Southern District of New York, which is not licensed to practice. And as such, in another case that he filed against Diddy, that's when the attorney basically escalated, Busby to the grievance committee because the attorney was saying that Busby is violating legal jurisdiction by filing numerous lawsuits in a courtroom that he's not licensed to practice. And when he files the lawsuit, because he knows they are frivolous, when he files them in a courtroom that he's not licensed to practice, it means that they cannot apply any sanctions against him. It's like a unscrupulous activity that lawyers engage in when they know that they're doing something that's frivolous and they're trying to avoid any legal ramifications against them. So as such, Busby was brought to the grievance committee, and when he applied for the Pro Act Vichy, it was denied, and as such, he could not continue to represent the VMA bandit with the lawsuit because, as you guys can remember, he also hired two attorneys on that case, and we spoke about it, and one of the attorney was Donald Trump's former attorney. And as you guys can remember, I did share with you guys that one of the attorney was to represent VMA bandit, and the other was to help Busby fight for his license. However, Busby was advised that it would be in his best interest to drop the lawsuit because he couldn't continue to represent his client, because if he did, there would have been sanctions and penalties against him. So as such, he dropped the lawsuit. And also, you guys know, Jayz also filed a lawsuit against him wherein Jayz claimed extortion as well as defamation. That lawsuit continues. So because the lawsuit has been dropped, because Jayz had maintained his innocence right through, and there are numerous inconsistencies in it, Jayz is firing back at VMA Bandit because he's saying that this lawsuit has truly harmed him. Now, following him fighting back and filing that lawsuit, the VMA Bandit has released a press report telling TMZ that she was scared of Jayz, and that's why she dropped the lawsuit. She was scared of him and his fan base. But anyone who is thinking from a logical perspective knows she's not making any sense, because when you filed that lawsuit, weren't you scared of Jayz and his fan base at that point? Because Jayz and his fan base did exist at the point, at the initial stage of her filing the lawsuit. And why wasn't she scared at that point? But after filing it, she was scared, and no one knows who she is. So you know that she is a darn liar. And she's saying that Jayz has been using investigators to bully, intimidate, and harass her and her parents. But you guys know that tomorrow we're going to hear from the parent that nothing like that happened. And I'm going to go on the record to say, if that did happen, Busby did it. Busby is a unscrupulous, you know what? No. So Busby is now, as I was saying, Busby is now replying. He made a post on his Instagram page, and Busby is so full of ish. You can literally, from each line that you read, from each sentence, you can literally tell that Busby is a narcissist, and they're gonna get him. They're going to get Busby really, really, really good. And at this point, it's not even as though it is Jayz pursuing, Busby to be sanctioned or anything. No, it's other attorneys. But the way in which he goes about doing things is what is going to get him into a lot of trouble. I'm going to break down what he's saying to you. And if you guys break his statement apart, just sentence by sentence, using his own words, you can literally tell that Busby is highly manipulative. As I've been telling you guys since December, since Busby filed this lawsuit, I said to you guys that Busby is a con man with a con plan, and it is literally playing out exactly as I told you guys it would have. Now, Busby posted on his Instagram page, he says, "This new case alleges the same claims as the other one they pieced together and filed in Los Angeles, like the one in LA. This new case in Alabama also has no legal merit." Now let's stop there. Busby is not in the position to say the case has no legal merit, because Busby is only speaking on his behalf. And already Busby has done quite a few things wherein we can say Busby has publicly demonstrated that he's untrustworthy. The mere fact that he's going to file numerous lawsuits in a courtroom that he's not licensed to practice, that's untrustworthy behavior. So why should we believe anything that comes out of his mouth? And not even that, he's not a judge, and a judge would not address a case publicly like this, wherein he's saying Jayz's case has no legal merit. And besides all, that's a damn lie. Jayz case does in fact have legal merit, because we can break it down to say, did a VMA bandit accuse Jayz of outwording her? Yes, she did. And did she drop the lawsuit without prejudice? Yes, she did. And that in itself is legal merit for Jayz to sue her, because he has maintained his innocence, and he said that we're going to see that he's innocent at the end of it, and he's going to prove to Busby that he is different. So far, Jayz has been holding up to his agreement. So far, Busby true colors is showing. So when Busby's going to say the case in Alabama has no legal merit, he's a blatant liar. The details in the case itself does have legal merit. The mere fact that the BMA bandit dropped the lawsuit without prejudice means that Jayz suing her ass does have legal merit. And Busby is not in the position to determine that. So you can literally tell that this man is a blatant liar and a manipulator. But let's continue with his statement. He says, Sean Carter's investigators have repeatedly harassed, threatened, and harangued this poor woman for weeks, trying to intimidate her and make her recant her story. He's saying that Jayz has been trying to intimidate BMA bandit so that she withdraws her story. But she wouldn't have any need to withdraw her story because there's no case that exists at this point in time. And even though Busby is telling us that those things have happened, we have no evidence to prove that they have happened. He did not submit any evidence to prove to us it did happen. So at this point in time, we can always say that Jayz is using the fact that a few creators showed investigators at their door asking if someone has been paying them to talk about Diddy. We can say that, Busby is using that because he knows that there's video evidence of that. He's using that so as to, make us believe that, yes, we've seen creators talking about this, so it is true. But he's not providing any evidence, and the mere fact that Busby has a lawsuit against Jayz, a class action lawsuit against Jayz, Quinn Emanuel, Sullivan LLP, and the list goes on, with the same claims, ain't no way Jayz is going to have a legal battle with Busby with those allegations, and then they're going to repeat the same actions again. That's not making any sense. There's one thing we all know. We know that Jayz's attorney, Alex Spiro, Harvard graduate, very smart, very tactful. Jayz, very smart, very tactful. If they did that the first time, ain't no way they're going to make the same mistake twice. So Busby right there, I'm going to have to call him the liar until he provides some kind of evidence that did in fact happen. Now, also, in the class action lawsuit that Busby filed against Jayz, Sullivan, LLP, Urquhart, in that lawsuit, he named an individual which no one can find any record of. If you guys remember the name, I think it is Miss Santiago. It's a female. It's Miss Santiago, right? And he gave an address for that lady. There's no one who lives at that address by that name. And now Busby is saying that the same team of investigators as before, but no one exists by the name of Santiago. So how could it be the same people? Busby is telling a lie, and I believe that this needs to be thoroughly investigated and be brought out into the public as to what is going on. How is Busby orchestrating this? Because again, let me reiterate, we know Jayz is no saint, but I don't believe Busby because he's saying these same group of investigators have been caught on tape offering to pay people to sue me and my firm. So the mere fact that there's no one by the name of Santiago and it has been proven that no one exists by that name, then I have to say he's telling a lie. Now, Busby further states, after speaking with Jane Doe today, it's clear to me that the quotes attributed to her in the lawsuit are completely made up, or they spoke to someone who isn't Jane Doe. No, this is not, or this is very telling rather. This is very telling because if he's saying that, or they didn't speak to Jane Doe, they spoke to someone else, it means that he really doesn't have a proper dialogue with this Jane Doe if he's assuming, or maybe they spoke to someone else. And also, we have to remember that Jayz did say it's possible that this young lady has a history of mental illness. So I think that Tony Buzbee is being very selfish, because if his client, has history of mental illness, as, what Jayz is suggesting, it is Busby's responsibility to make the best and healthiest decision for his client. And as such, I believe that in the first place, he should have done a better job of vetting the lawsuit so as to reduce the amount of stress and negative backlash that his client receive. How is it that you have a client that has a history of mental illness? Jayz has figured that out. Jayz is bringing that to the forefront, and Jayz is saying to the court, I want to proceed with this lawsuit, and I would like for her name to remain anonymous because she has a mental illness, and he's thinking about her, on that level. But here comes Busby, cannot make such healthy decision for his client. It's very telling, and it's very suspicious of Busby. No, Busby's statements continues by saying, this bully, he says, sorry, this is just another attempt to intimidate and bully this poor woman that we will deal with in due course. We won't be bullied or intimidated by frivolous cases. No, that's the end of Busby's statement. The only person that is filing frivolous cases here is Busby. And I really am disgusted by this man and his continued poor behavior and poor judgment, not making good, healthy choice for his client. And as such, it's not a good look. You know that this case and these lawsuits, they're going to end up in a mess, and it's just going to be more lies. Busby needs to give it up, because the more he pushes back, the more it's going to crack open bigger and deeper, and people are going to really, really and truly see who he is for what he is. But I guess this is how Busby life was meant to happen. This is how it was meant for him to be exposed of his true colors, and how he has been manipulating the legal system and other people. He will be exposed, and slowly but surely he's being exposed. But guys, I can't wait to see how this lawsuit, pans out, because I believe that eventually Jane Doe's identity is going to be released, and I believe that potentially Busby may do it to blame Jayz and to make Jayz look like the monster, because as I've said to you guys, I did call this in the beginning. I said Busby is a con man with a con plan, and someone like a Busby who operates on this manner is not someone that anyone should trust. And that's just my opinion. I don't think anyone should trust this man. Already he has been too predictable for me, because everything I said that he's capable of has been demonstrated, and exactly how I said, things would play out. That's exactly how things have played out. And as such, Busby is someone who may get extremely desperate, and when an individual like him gets that desperate, he will have no limitations to what he's capable of doing. But I want to hear from you guys. What's your take? While you're at it, give this video a big thumbs up, share, stay safe, and see you all in the comment section. Peace.